Get ready to dive deep into Buffalo's vibrant music scene because we're stepping inside the fabulous Flamingo Lounge for the 8th season of Local Music Magic. In the Flamingo Lounge with Rockabilly Greg is more than just a podcast. It's a collection of stories that delves deep into the vibrant musical history of Buffalo and Western New York, creating a living archive where each story adds a unique thread to the overall narrative. This season, we're taking a deep dive into the heart of the music community. Join us for personal conversations with musicians and industry pros, where we celebrate the collective creativity that makes our favorite artists, venues, and events so special. But before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, CatsLikeUs.com, Diamond Hoff Golf Course and Pub, and valued supporter Buffalo Ironworks for helping to keep the music alive. Sue Kincaid's journey began in 1981 at a small club on Delaware Road in Kenmore, New York. Since the tender age of 14, Sue has been singing songs that inspire her and bring peace to others. From those early days of singing popular rock and roll, Sue's repertoire has expanded to include all genres of music, yet her main passion remains writing and recording. Sue has performed countless original pieces, both her own and those composed by other local Buffalo musicians. She has also lent her vocals to radio and television advertisements. Throughout her career, Sue has received numerous music awards and has had the honor of working with many Buffalo Music Hall of Fame musicians. Her style is a signature blend of passion, sensuality, and soul, a voice that is uniquely and beautifully her own, whether she's performing with a guitarist, a keyboardist, or a full band. For Sue, life's work extends beyond the microphone. As a certified yoga therapist, she has spent decades helping individuals suffering from cancer and dementia. For her, music and wellness are two sides of the same coin, gifts she shares to heal and inspire. The incredible talent of the Buffalo music community has not only championed her efforts, but also humbled her, solidifying her deep appreciation for the city she calls home. It is my pleasure to welcome to the Flamingo Lounge, Sue Kincaid. Sue.
Wow, that Greg. That was lovely. Oh my goodness, I love that. Yeah, that was great.
You have a story to tell, and I can't wait. I can't wait for you to.
Yeah.
I know we've been chatting for a little while to
have.
get you on and get back, and I know I finally corralled you to get down here, and I'm so happy to have you down here. And I didn't know you wrote your own stuff, so that's, So I'm looking forward to hearing your full story. And but as I said off air before we started, I always like to start off the show asking you if you had an aha moment at some point in your life where you said, "Man, music's what I want to do."
So it's a little complicated story, but I was doing music in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that when I was a kid. It was actually Delaware Avenue, and it was called the Bachelor's Den.
Ah, okay.
And it's kind of a Kenmore thing. At that time, that was probably when, like, the Reinhardts and Bruce and Jim Bricado, all those guys were coming up, John Allen. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting. There's all these pockets in Buffalo.
Right, yeah.
So it was a lot of live music, you know. The best part of that, playing at the Bachelor's Den, was my girlfriend was 15, and she was watching the door, you know, checking everybody's ID, which is just crazy how the world has changed around a little bit. But anyway, so that went on, and then I worked. I didn't work, but was asked by Glenn Colton. Right? So Glenn and I went to high school together. So he was a couple years ahead of me. Okay. And so Glenn would play at the Sweet Home Cafe. Okay. Which is no longer there. Right. Sweet Home Road. Right. So I would go down and you know, sing songs, and he always kind of perpetuated the thing. So in high school there was a band. It's called Red Cellar. Okay. Actually, small crazy little point. Doug Clooney was the first guitar player I really worked with. We were in a band called Red Cellar. Okay. And his daughter is actually Cammie Clooney, which is such a small little world we live in, right? Mm-hmm. So it's wonderful that she's doing great, and Doug and Patty support her so much. It's awesome. So anyway, so through Glenn, so no longer worked at the band. Everybody went to college, did their thing. And then I would go play with Glenn. And then Dave Meinzer and Kathy Moriarty and George Olmsted were in a band called the Beatmongers. Okay. So to this aha moment. Okay. So then that was a little bit of something. Then I went away I was in college, and I went to Italy. So I went to Florence So you and I were discussing museums and museology and community and history. So I studied there for about 6 months. So part of what I studied was, Italian and drawing, but museology also.
Okay.
So that's a whole nother conversation we can have. So at that moment, I would think I was working at Bennigan's or something on Maple Road, and it was waitressing, and I was leaving to go. So I was letting go of this job, and I was going to go to school, and I thought, well, music's over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving the band that I was in or the relationships that I had musically, and I was ironing, and I thought to myself, well, if I come back and there's music, then that's what I meant to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the aha moment.
Okay.
So it was, you're going to leave it. So it's going to be gone.
Right.
Because you're not going to go to school abroad and get a band. I mean, I could have, I guess.
Right.
But I had a different focus. I wanted to get out of college. I'd been there for a while. And and so what do you really want to do? Right.
Yeah.
And then there's always more than one aha moment. So then the second one, so I will go to Italy, I come back, and then I auditioned with Kathy, was doing a band with Scott Freelick, and they called it, it was True Beat. I can't remember what it was, the lineup. I could think about it, but I think I came back, and then it was another band that started called Beat City. But anyway, so then the music continued through the grace of God, really. So the other aha moment was when I was letting go of the need, and we all decided we worked really hard, recordings, traveling the East Coast the best that we could. That was in the industry, was very different. It's shifted from record companies. Remember when all the artists got let go? Yeah. Like Suzanne Vega and all those artists, right? They got let go of their companies. So in the early 90s, you were creating a demo that you could present to someone. You're paying for it, basically a demo. You could sell it, but to get a record contract. So then it all shifted. So then when I had my kids, then I really surrendered. Right. I said, okay, it's all up to you. Like, what is my purpose? Am I going to be a rock star? I probably should have left the city years ago if I wanted to get into that. Sure. Because that was the industry. That's the way you did it back then. So anyway, so those are the kind of the moments I just kind of surrendered a little bit and said, you tell me, my eyes are open. If there's an opportunity, I won't say no if I can. Right. That's one of my musical rules, is never say never. Right. Because you never know what relationship you're going to find or what kind of music you're going to make. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to keep rambling, but there's a great story with Kenny Kaufman, who I was doing a commercial, and he's like, "Oh, you got to sing this, Sue." And it was Diana Krall. It was her first record. Oh, okay. I'm like, I can't do that. No, I can't sing like that. Like, really? He's like, yeah, you should try it. And it took me a bunch of years to actually feel comfortable. It was the first one I sang her tunes. It might have been like Gentle Rain or something. But and that was Joe Petrino and Willie Hadith. We had a little trio. Right. But yeah. So it's funny how things come around. Yeah. But anyway, there you go. I'm rambling at you.
No, ramble away. I love it. Ramble on. Yes. So I'm going to kind of jump back, because I know you jumped past the need. So
I did.
Of course
I did a lot.
No, which is great. That's how this podcast usually goes. We jump all over like a Mexican jumping beat, because it's like, I'll
stay focused.
Yeah. Oh, I won't. Mr. ADD boy over here. So it's like,
right.
And
somebody better reel us in here.
That's right. So let's go back to like in high school and college. So you were. Let's go back to that Delaware.
Here's one. Joe Baudo was Dr. Baudo at Sweet Home High School. Right. Scared the living daylights out of me. He was the band instructor. Yeah. So I was busy, was an athlete, really didn't do any of the music stuff. I was in chorus. Okay. And those music teachers were just amazing. Right. I think if there's any, because I've never really taken music.
Yeah. So did you go to Sweet Home then?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. And and so he doesn't really remember. I mean, he might remember me, but lot of beautiful musicians and athletes came out of that decade of that school.
Yeah.
And still to this day.
Oh, this whole area around here, I always say there's something in the water.
I'm telling you.
Between Ken East, Ken West, Joe's, Sweet Home.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. I mean, the Reinhardts and Billy and...
Yeah, and it's funny because Hamburg at that time had, Girth.
Right.
Morlicks,
Girth
thank
Morlicks,
you.
Yep.
And, of course, Jimmy Whitford and Mark Winsick and Peter Case.
Yeah.
And those guys all grew up together.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how these little pockets of music.
Right, little pockets. And you had West Seneca, of course, Robbie,
Right.
Robbie and Johnny were West Seneca boys.
Exactly. And then with Dave Ruck and Joe Belanti.
Yeah.
And those guys were out like Williamsville. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
It's just a great music community.
So. Back to high school. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I don't know. What was I going to say? So I was just going to say, so Delaware Road. So how did you start singing? Because you were underage, obviously, right? Or was that a bar? Or
it was. It was the Bachelor's Den. It was a bar, and it was on like Delaware Avenue, right near kind of like where was it like Jay's Artisan Pizza? Like the Placa.
Yeah.
Like it was in that that stretch of the, not like up toward Sheridan. It was more like I guess, is that Kenmore proper?
Yeah, that's Kenmore.
Right. So anyway, and I think it was Joey, the guitar player's sister, had hooked it up. An older sister, which is like, and we played in the basement. Hence Red Cellar.
Right.
And I think it was Get Off of My Cloud. First song I ever sang, and that's where the bare feet come in.
Okay.
Because it was Hit Me With Your Best Shot. It was aging myself, but whatever.
Oh, that's okay.
And Steve Perry. And I was all dressed up and whatever. I wasn't very a diva. Like some kids were really cool.
Right.
Clothing and stuff. I never had that thing. And I was waiting, and we were waiting and waiting and waiting to play. So my feet really hurt. And I was walking over. It was a bar. And there's like those rubber pieces that you'd put over like a hole on the floor. Kind of hurt my ankle.
Yeah.
And these little shoes. And so
yeah,
I don't like to wear shoes on stage.
Those were the good days. That was my era too, man.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
Yeah, that's good stuff. MTV,
right.
all that.
Oh yeah. That's probably the thing. Like records. I remember I had this little green. It was a green record player, and it had a lid to it, so it was portable.
Right.
And then you could play a 45, but you couldn't put the lid down if you were playing an album.
Okay.
So my mother had everything from, obviously like Elvis and the 45s, Patsy Cline, Peggy Lee, Johnny Cash. She was a little bit Luciano Pavarotti. Just everything. Not a lot of jazz. Not a lot of jazz. More, my favorite first tune was really Anne Murray. Spread your tiny wings and fly away.
Yeah.
Take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. And my mom was had to sit in front of the speaker over and over and over. And that's probably been consistent my whole life.
Right.
If there's a tune, it just has to, it gets in your soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just a music connection.
Right. Yeah. Music has a way, as you said, it gets in you, and that's it, right?
You're just making me think. What's interesting is I got older, I lost my hearing because of, I guess it's a long conversation, but it was I either had viral stuff or when I was sick, my family was in the service. So we traveled around a lot.
Okay.
So I had to get vaccinations. And then in the 70s, we got the polio things. So I might have been sick. And so anyway, a doctor, it's an ENT, one of the prominent ones in Buffalo, said probably my hearing loss was based on like a live polio vaccination, which whatever, it could be a lot of things, but it was not music. So anyway, so the hearing loss was a whole nother perspective because vocally, it's like how you hear yourself right now with your headphones on, right? Like you hear everything pretty tuned in. So that's my constant.
Okay.
So if I have a little bit of music and I can pitch it and hit it, I know when I'm pitchy.
Okay.
Because it's like that. It's like, when you cover your ears and you hear yourself in your head voice or
Sure.
your head sound. So I don't know why I'm telling you that, but
No,
so as I grew up,
yeah.
music was like my little solace because I think the hearing loss kind of things around me, as you know, the din is very difficult.
Right.
But if you can focus, I would bring everything would kind of come in. I never thought of that before, Greg.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting. There we have it.
There you go.
All right.
That always happens here on the podcast. Everyone's like, I've had bands on here and someone will look at each other and go, I didn't know that. I played with you for 20 years. I never knew that.
Absolutely.
I love that. That's why we're here. Tell these stories. But so now getting into, I don't know if we're jumping past, but the need.
Yeah.
So
that was really the progression of Kathy and Dave Meinzer and George Olmsted in their band called the Beatmongers.
Okay.
So George is a student of Buff State.
Okay.
And Dave worked there. And I don't know why he did all the marketing for Buff State.
Yeah.
Do you know Dave?
I know Dave.
Right?
Yeah, Dave's been on. Dave and Kathy.
They're great. Love those guys.
Yeah, Dave's given me some of his great posters from the back in the day. I'm like,
back in the day, sure.
Oh my gosh, because I'm a graphic designer myself.
Exactly.
So he knows I have a great appreciation for him. So he was very, very gracious to give me some stuff.
And he was so it was such a fun little band. Kathy played bass. She was having vocal things going on. I can't remember this story specifically, but so they wanted to add another vocalist, or and they were so kind to me.
Right.
Like I was a kid. You know what I mean? And and then after the Beatmongers, Kathy, I don't know if she wanted to move to guitar, however that worked. And then we ended up working with Tom Fenton. So it was Tom Fenton, George Olmsted, myself, and a guy by the name of Jim Fish. And I just saw George a little while ago, and he said that Jim's still around, and myself. So that band was called True Beat. And we did lots of cool songs like, Eli's coming, hide it. We do a lot of harmony and
right.
And then that sort of morphed into a band called Beat City. That's when I left.
Okay.
And then went to college in Florence for a little bit. And then when I came back, they were looking for singers. It might have been Gretchen Schultz. I think Gretchen might have even she would remember.
Right.
I think it was Gretchen and a couple other singers. And I don't know what happened, why we moved forward.
Right.
Maybe because there was already material, you know what I mean? So to start fresh, I don't know. I think Kathy made the decision. I can't recall. It's all good though. And then it was for Beat City, it moved into Scott Freelick, who owned Top Shelf Music on Hurdle.
Yeah.
And Kathy and myself. And the drummer was Rodney Chamberlain. And then guitar player was Jim Cappick.
Okay.
And Jim Cappick played in a band, I think it was Wild Nights, if I want to say. Like he was in a Dead band.
Okay.
And I was busy, not paying attention. But Doug and I actually played with him in one of our band. I would still see Doug from time to time. And and Jim played guitar. Yeah, he was great, Jim Cappick. So Beat City had a couple of recordings. And we played at Marshall's. Okay, Marshall Glover.
Right.
He was one of the original person to help the 10,000 Maniacs move forward. So he was kind of there. Artie Quitchoff was the Goo Goo Dolls.
Sure. Yep.
And so, since we're just talking history,
yeah.
So Artie and I went to 5th grade together.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's my bud. Yeah, so that whole story. So Jimmy, his twin brother, would give him money so that the Goos could do whatever.
Right.
He would help promote the shows and stuff.
Sure.
Right? I think Artie would call me out on that, or Jimmy would call me out on that. But that's how I remember.
Call him out. Call in.
So Jimmy and I, his brother, were at Sweet Home together.
Okay.
And then Artie went to Joe's. So we were in homeroom together.
Right.
Kincaid, Quitchoff, all that stuff.
Yep.
So anyway, so where am I going with this? So the Beat City, is this what you wanted me to talk about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kathy was friends with Marshall Glover. And he would come see Beat City. And residencies were kind of popular. At that time, the Grill was the Central Park Grill.
Okay.
Shakin' Smith. There was,
right.
They had the Jazz Night, Gamelan. Who else played there? I don't remember. But the residencies, I think we did a residency at Marshall's with True Beat. if I recall. Marshall Glover was like one of the most supportive music guys in the community. He would book, and then he got a restaurant, Marshall's, which was on Main Street in that Canisius College district area, if you will. And across the street was the Blue Note, which was a jazz club. That was crazy. I'm so regretful that I didn't go in there more often. Because there aren't a lot of jazz clubs in the city,
right?
That I know of. I should pay more attention.
Right.
So anyway, Marshall's was this long, skinny bar. Like maybe it was the width of, I don't know. If this is 25 feet we're sitting in right here, let's say maybe 50.
Okay.
So the bar was, you had an alleyway between the stage and the bar. Okay. And it was all long. So you couldn't sit in like a W, or set your stage up.
Sure.
You were all in a line. So that was really a crazy. Marcia Ball played there. Actually, he had a couple of really great performers there. So the Need did that. And George Paleo came in and saw the band. And he's like, I want to produce you guys. So this was Beat City. So this was with Cappick and Rodney Chamberlain on drums and Scott on bass, Kathy and myself, right? So Kathy and George, Kathy was the main songwriter at that time. And then he just recorded the Ernie Watts album for Amherst Records. So he asked Lenny and David, David Parker is the lawyer, and Lenny Silver, the owner of Amherst Records and Record Theater and all that stuff.
Sure. So,
and he was great. Like there are a lot of Spyro Gyra. Lenny was he was a big part of the scene.
Yeah.
And so George was on the dabbling with producing. So there's a great recording of one of Kathy's songs called Speaking in Tongues, which all the tapes are gone. All the 2-inch tapes. Right. They're like, nobody knows where they are. Wow. And these recordings, so Kathy had got like a deal, like an agreement to start to record some stuff. And Jeremy Wall came in and produced. And there's another beautiful song, Couldn't Be Sure. Anyway, that'd be fun to play that stuff for you sometime. Right. That's what you have to do sometime. Like, bump up your game. There you go. And have little recordings come in of every decade if anybody has those recordings.
Oh, that would be cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do try to have some recordings on the podcast.
Yeah,
of originals, of course. So
yeah, of course.
I got to be careful about the rights.
Totally.
And, all that stuff.
So this Jeremy Wall production of one of Kathy's songs called Couldn't Be Sure is just beautiful. So he plays piano because he's a piano player in Spyro Gyra. And Rodney does this beautiful drum thing. John Caruso's on bass at this point. It has shifted. Scott had left and whatever. And I think Jim Linsner's on drums. I can't remember. Bad of me. But Paleo does this. He'd never really played acoustic. So whoever talked him into it, or he just said, let me try it. This beautiful acoustic solo that leads right into this fabulous piano thing. It's just one of the nicest recordings I've ever. It was just kind of magic.
Yeah. No, is that still available or?
The only recording I have of it is someone sent me a cassette version of it. Huh. I have it, but it's kind of like turned into a little bit of a thing for me because you hear the crackle of the cassette. However, this person recorded it and sent it to me, and I think like in an email. And so now I've since put it into my files, so I have it, but it's almost like, I don't know if I want to hear it any other way. Yeah. Cause it has this great thing to it. I don't know. I'm just partial, I guess. Yeah. Everyone says their songs are their babies, but of course. Kathy wrote it, the whole thing. It's in, I think George and Jeremy, they all arranged it. And I just, kind of did what I was told. Right. Which is fine. Yeah. Yeah, so then the Need came out of the Beat City thing. Okay. So a couple, member changes, and how that all happens. So we just kind of continued. And then it got a little harder, and then the Need wrote some songs. George and I were mostly the writers to that stuff. We get together. It was pretty focused, we bought a van, we got an investor. We never did vinyl because that wasn't the thing then. We did a bunch of CDs.
Yep. I do have a Need CD.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like I was mentioning to you off not off mic, but what would we call it?
Whatever.
Unrecorded.
Yeah.
That I think because of the relationship that George had with the record company, Amherst Records, he asked around, and John Caruso was good friends with Armin Petrie. They were in a band together when they were in college.
Okay.
I think at Fredonia,
right.
actually.
Yeah.
And then with Joe Rosler, what a band that must have been.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And then Larry Swist ended up producing the Needs first. We did a cassette independently.
Okay.
Beat City never really did any recordings, just a couple of demos, not like a full album.
Sure.
And then True Beat never really did any. We did some of Kathy's songs, but it was difficult to record back then.
Right.
You had to have thousands and thousands of dollars and get into the studio. So it was a little different. Funny story. Kathy had joined, they did like a music competition.
Okay.
It was Niagara Falls. And Ani DeFranco was in this competition.
Okay.
And her strings broke. And so Kathy gave her this beautiful Martin guitar that Kathy had. And Ani won the competition.
Wow.
Right. And then that money, she went to the studio, and ironically, Caruso was her engineer.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that great?
Yeah.
And then John was also an engineer for the Goo Goo Dolls. So it's kind of funny how, everybody at that time was pretty vibrant, but we didn't think so.
Right.
And I was just kind of singing songs,
Yeah.
Ooh la 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 la.
Well, it's like I said to you, off air. It's like all the dots just keep connecting for me. As I keep doing this podcast, it's like more and more and more.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Like I've had Armand on the
have you?
Yeah, on the podcast. And
what did he talk about? I mean,
he talked about a lot of the early days and with 10,000 Maniacs, and I asked him about with the Goos and all.
Yeah.
And boy, he had stories, and
oh sure,
he had stuff. I'm like, man, let's keep. Hold some stories for next time,
Yeah, right.
He's like, I got to get Robbie to come down here with me. He said, we can tell stories. I said, I'd love that. That would be fantastic.
That would be great.
Yeah, but it's just so neat. You talk. Glenn Colton's been down here, and
has he?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
yep, Glenn's been down here. I love Glenn.
He's my guy. I mean, if it weren't for him, I probably would not have continued. I would have been singing like in the living room,
right?
You know what I mean? But he kept me kind of in front of people. I tell him that all the time.
Well, like he told me, he says, if it wasn't for Tom Lorenz,
sure,
I wouldn't have been.
Because Switch.
Right. And Tom taught him how to play guitar.
Right.
So it's like, so you start, and I know Tom, of course, from the Hall of Fame,
sure,
and and Tom's a good friend. And I tell Tom all the time, he hasn't been on the show. He's like, I'll get there. I'm like, you've been on the show more than anybody else, because right, especially early, because everybody. I mean, he sings with. He's Ramblin' Tom now. He sings with the. The Ramblin' Lou family band, and does a lot of stuff with
Lou.
Yeah.
Is that Lou? What's Linda Lou?
Linda Lou. Yeah.
Oh, I did a recording with her with Gary Malaber.
Oh, okay.
And it was a project that Gary was like I don't know whatever happened to it. And she was lovely. And we were that Gary Malaber, oh my goodness, he worked us long and hard.
Yeah.
Like it was a long session.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. He's doing headstands in the corner. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can keep up.
Yeah. Oh, I've had Linda and her mom, Joni, on the show. Yeah. I love the Shrivers. They are the nicest folks you could ever.
Well,
and I said, because when Linda Lou was inducted in the Hall of Fame, she got up and did a song, and I think she did "I Will Always Love You" by Dolly Parton, and then her mom got on stage. And her mom was just kind of playing, but then I can't remember what they played, but she starts wailing on the guitar, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, can this woman play guitar?"
It doesn't happen by accident.
No,
that's another thing I've learned.
And she had some great,
life.
Of course, she had some great stories. If you want to hear them, you can listen to their podcast. But it was like, wow, and just again all the.
Sure.
Different dots and everything that connected there in that circle of, country and everything. And, and so many of the blues and the jazz guys and the country guys, and everyone seems to know each other, cross over, support each other. It's great.
I hope so. Right. Yeah. I mean, I think Dwayne's nailed it, Music Town.
Mm-hmm.
And, whenever I make a post these days, back in the Need days, it would be 500 postcards.
Yeah.
Either handwritten because you couldn't get the printer to print out. Those were crazy days.
Yeah.
And stamps and then having to make the post anyway. Yeah. I don't even think about it.
Right. Oh, well, as you did, I had to stop off at Sportsman's on the before I came home, and I saw Dwayne, and he's like, I said, yeah. He says, where are you going? I said, Sue Kincaid's coming over, and he says, I love Sue. He says, Sue's my favorite.
Well, he's the best.
Yeah. Dwayne's a gem. Dwayne's been down here too, so he said, yeah, I'm gonna come down, and he says, yeah. He says, I get asked to do these a lot, but I'm going to do one for you. I said, yeah.
That's great.
I'm like, it's a lot coming from Dwayne. Totally. It means a lot. That's like
so much.
Can't
even tell you.
Yeah.
And that's a whole story there too. So the Need was making these recordings, and I think John had made a relationship with Dwayne, and he said, yeah, let's play at Sportsman's. And that was, way back, like I think 95 or something. And I'll never forget, I went home, and I tell this to Dwayne, I went home and I had like big hair at the time, I had a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And it was quite smoky, and it was kind of like, I don't know if I ever want to play there again because it was a honky tonk.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And it was a great place. And then as the years went by, so this is the next chapter, right? So the Need does its thing, and 99 comes around, and I always make this joke, and I don't know if the guys will appreciate it, but you can always cut this out. So I got pregnant.
Right.
George got sober. John had a heart attack, and Jim just, was like, okay, whatever. Whatever you guys want to do. We'd got rid of our debt, and we kind of consciously said, I think it's time to close the chapter on this for a while. And then after that, the Rhythm and Blues Soul Review. So Veltri, Nick would call me and to work with, I think it was with the Morvells. There might have been a couple of those Morvell shows before I had my kids. I can't recall. But every now and again I would do those. And through that I'm hooked up with Willie Haddeth.
Okay.
Because Marshall, again, had seen me sing, and he said, Willie is kind of thinking maybe to branch out from the Reinhardts.
Okay.
Just something a little different. And he was doing a duo with Joe Petrino, kind of around the corner from here on Kenmore and Colvin, Tsunami, an amazing restaurant, Mike Andrzejewski. Some of the best food I've ever had in my life. So the three of us would do, and that's when the jazz thing kind of was weird. Petrino did jazz, not so much Willie, but he would make them learn the chords, and he was like that. And so Willie would do some, and Joe would throw some, and I would do some vocals. And Diana Krall kicked in again, and it was all in that same time because Kenny had asked me to do a commercial.
Okay.
Or maybe it was singing one of his songs. I can't remember what it was. So he's like, you have to hear her sing. It's funny how alignment is, like, you know what I mean? Like, and then Petrino's like, oh, you have to do some Diana Krall. Like, oh, I think I know of her. Anyway, so then from those relationships, I started with Ronnie Davis. So that really opened up this whole door of a different genre. So I never really was a Fleetwood Mac singer.
Okay.
Did a lot of Journey. But by the time True Beat, Beat City, The Need, it was all original. Like I couldn't go to a party and be helpful.
Right.
Like you were explaining how maybe Allison didn't know, Simon and Garfunkel. When you're doing your own songs and writing, it's very difficult to know tunes. I'm still really bad at that stuff.
Yeah.
Like Brown Eyed Girl, I couldn't help you with that at all. Like maybe the chorus, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But I know it if it's on the radio, but to actually perform it. So as that jazz thing started, I'm like, oh, I felt like Rod Stewart. Like, seriously, Sue? But when you truly, this sounds kind of strange, get over yourself, like if you surrender musically, like whatever you want me to do. And actually, John Brady, who passed recently, so John Brady guitar, John Brady drummer, he said the most profound thing. So when it was back in probably the Beat City days or the True Beat days, Brady recorded some. John and Kathy were friends, so he recorded some of Kathy's songs that I got to sing on.
Okay.
And so that was my first relationship with John. So that was a long time ago. So anyway, so as we got older, John and I did a duo for a while, and he just said, when you get to a certain age, you own your own sound, you own your own voice, and it's one of the most freeing experiences you can have.
Wow.
And it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
If you only play one style of music and you're in that one zone, for some people it's perfect. They don't need to, but as a vocalist, because your voice changes.
Right.
Everything shifts. And either you go with it,
Yeah.
And sing like Ella Fitzgerald and B.B. King till they're 80 or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
If you're smart enough to go with your voice and your intention and your emotion and, pick the right songs to present where you're at.
Sure.
Because if you're trying to sing songs, people ask me to sing Joplin all the time. And I do like, Move Over, Say That It's Over, Baby.
Yeah.
Right. That one, I dig that one. And I'll do Mercedes-Benz. But to sing as she did as a 25-year-old,
right.
And I'm only 39, but anyway, to pull that is almost to me kind of disingenuous.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you're going to move as a musician or an artist or whatever it is that you're doing, or writer, whatever it is, it's kind of your focus on what you see and what your life is about. And so anyway, I'm rambling at you here.
No, I agree because, I mentioned, my buddy and I do Simon and Garfunkel, Everly Brothers, but we do it our way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we are not Art and Paul.
Right.
I mean, nobody is Art. I mean, the guy is inhuman, right?
Totally.
God bless the capo, right?
Right.
And, what we have to do.
Yeah.
God bless the capo. God bless my friend Steve. He's arranged everything to fit our voices.
Exactly.
And,
if it's a good song.
Yeah, a good song's a good song. Yeah,
wherever it needs to go.
Exactly, and that's
totally.
That's actually the sign of a good song, right? You can sing it.
It is, yes.
Everywhere and everybody. And I always say, as you can see, I'm an Elvis fan, but Elvis, everything he sang, made it an Elvis song.
Elvis.
I mean, he could sing Hank Williams, he could sing Gordon Lightfoot, he could sing the Beatles, he could sing.
If you go and you really study music, right? So you just you listen for the nuances of an Elvis or a Patsy Cline or even Karen Carpenter, not to get
right
corny or white bread or whatever what I'm as well as African American singers, black singers, whatever,
right.
Michael Jackson when he was 8, right, or whatever. Those are one tracks. Those aren't I've been in the studio, you've been in the studio. Oh, Sue, that wasn't good. Let's punch it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they knew how to punch back then. I mean, maybe the Beatles did, but those recordings, and it's just pristine and it's beautiful, and it's just magic. Yeah, I get all emotional when I listen to Elvis.
I know. I love watching the Ray Charles, movie. With,
Jamie Foxx,
with
right?
Jamie Foxx,
and
he goes in and he does doom 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 da doom da doom doom, one take.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's
makes you wonder a little bit, what are we doing this over and over and over again?
Well, I think music's got, perfection, and I've talked about it a gajillion times on the podcast because I like the raw, gritty,
there's something to it,
unpolished, because there's something to, like the Beatles with the, the feedback, boom, 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 and then, the mamas and the papas. I saw her again last night, and they kept that in because that happens to all of us, right?
Yeah.
You jump the gun and
something about the studios though. Yeah. Those studios that capture that music, I don't know. They're just as important as those musicians.
Oh gosh, yes.
To say, because the quality of the sound that they captured.
Yeah. Oh, I've had the very distinct pleasure of singing in Sun Studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I visited there in 2000 when my second wife and I got married.
Yeah, how cool.
And we did our honeymoon down there, and we went during Elvis week, and we waited till after the candlelight vigil was done because it was nuts. And we had gone to Sun Studios, but you can do a recording down there, kind of like what he did back in the day.
They let you go in there.
So I went in there, same Blue Moon in Kentucky.
That's great.
And they let you do one, and then they're like, okay, now we're gonna
Bye-bye.
record, and you record, and the guy's like, yeah, you did pretty good. And I got it on a cassette tape was $20,
Right?
And a CD at the time, this was the year 2000, was $40. I said, I'll take a cassette. We're getting low on cash by that time, and but my cassette got erased in the airport. I came home, I'm like, kids, you got to listen to this, and there's nothing. I've got I've got the cassette and it's got the Sun Studios logo.
So
but
you don't have your recording?
I don't have my recording.
Oh, break my heart.
I have my memory. I mean, I stood on the X. I mean, it's like, here I'm standing on the X that, Elvis recorded on, and they've got it marked on the floor. And,
I'm so sorry.
But,
what a bummer, man.
You talk about a room, though. I mean, it looks like it's old acoustic tiles, and it's not very impressive looking, but boy, the sound in there. Oh, it was magic.
Something.
Yeah. I mean, those walls were talking,
So.
and it's like,
right.
And I ask everybody, it's like, was there a room that you played where it was like I couldn't imagine like playing the Ryman, the Ryman's gotta like speak, just being in that.
I guess so. That's kind of like I went into Birdland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In New York. Right.
Yeah.
I guess I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or even Sportsman's these days.
Oh gosh, yes.
Because there's so much. It's the outlier thing. Like there's so much energy going on.
Yeah. Well,
maybe not the outlier
it's like
thing, but
you and I can both say, because I've played there. I played on the same stage as Marty Stewart.
Yeah.
Or Ray Benson, or Commander
right.
Cody. It's like, wow, isn't that neat? It's like me. Some little schlep from Fredonia. Just a bathtub singer. Just being able to.
Everybody can. I think everybody can present something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just I don't know what it is.
Right. Well, you got to do it.
Yeah.
It does take time.
You got to practice a little bit.
Like I said, we sucked the first time. And
speaking of that, I'm actually doing a show with Tony Trippy coming up. And so I should probably go home and practice the like 20 songs, because we have a rehearsal tomorrow. So funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell me, what else? Where else can we?
I was going to say, well, because now you're playing with Buffalo Bound.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Bobby LaBelle and Grace Logan.
Yeah.
Elton.
Yeah. So we'll just keep going chronologically.
Yeah.
So then Ronnie Davis and I did a duo with Phil LaMacchia, which is really a lot of fun. There's a couple of recordings of that around. That was a trio, and it was like Jerry Myers was like, "Yeah, get the girl to play the snare," and so percussion started to be really a part of this duo thing and this trio thing. So as the industry shifted from the 90s, when you were a full band, you didn't have any other projects, that was your thing, right? All of a sudden things started to shift. The drinking age changed, the bar age changed, no smoking, and Pro Tools.
Right.
Apple came out with like, oh, here, go home or not Apple, whatever it was.
Right.
Maybe it was Apple.
Yeah.
But you can now record your own record at home, right? GarageBand, any of that. So this industry thing shifted completely. You could sell records. We had a little bit of that. The Need did pretty good. We sold some stuff when we toured around in our van. Her name is Vanna Brown. But as things started to move forward, the original stuff became less of a commodity.
Okay.
And it's hard. I would never put a tribute band, considering I just did a Rush cover.
Right.
You know what I mean? With Grace and Pete. But so where am I going with this? So as the 2000s things started to happen, music really, really shifted. I mean, from original groups to covers and tributes and stuff. So as that, George and I tried to get together for a little bit and do some songs. No real writing has happened since when we were in the Need. And then I guess I was busy raising my kids, and in the Rhythm and Blues Soul Review, I would sing with Dolly and Donna and Patty and a lot of musicians from that experience, which is wonderful. And then what happened after that? Oh, probably when COVID came around. I really wasn't in a band. Willie and I had a band. Nothing is as solid as like the Need.
Sure.
Like let's get together once a week and rehearse or do whatever. And then the pandemic thing came around, and Jamie Holka had been doing the Holka family evening with Jamie Holka family, whatever.
Okay.
And he asked me to come and sing because he used to be a Need fan or had seen the Need, loved George,
right,
all that. So I would do some vocals with him on a couple of those shows. And then I met Peter Vincent. And so, because you were mentioning Buffalo Bound.
Right.
So, and in the middle of that, like I'd done a couple of showcases with Jesse, my sweet Jesse friend.
Yeah.
Love you, Jesse.
Jesse. We all love Jesse.
Love Jesse.
Yep.
Right. So I met a bunch of musicians on that side of things, which is the rock and roll world, which was fun. And so as the Holka band thing happened, Jamie worked for full time. So this is kind of bringing us up to where we are now.
Yep.
So Jamie was a full-time musician. Peter had done construction. So Peter and Jamie would do a duo as well. So mind you, in these like 2015, I was working with Doug Yeomans. I was working with Mark Winsick. No real original music, just kind of doing cover tunes. Sure. And the venues have blown up. Like there's live music everywhere. Right. Back in the day, it wasn't so much. You know what I mean? But it was around, but not as much as it is now. So anyway, Peter and Jesse and I actually did a track on a God's Children record. Okay. Which I can't remember how it goes, but don't tell Pete. So that's a full circle. So Pete's like, oh yeah, I remember her. And Jamie's like, yeah, I remember her. So they asked me to do a guest spot in the Bubble. So Peter he was a construction guy. So he did a plastic bubble that was, covered. So you'd walk in his front door and that was covered. And then he and Jamie, because they'd been with each other so much, so they weren't really needing to be isolated. So they were on one side. And then if you wanted to come in and sing, there's a microphone, you had a monitor, there's only plastic, and you do a few songs, then you go home. Right. And then they would go and they would Facebook Live it. Right. Wow. Okay. So through that, I think Peter and so they were trying to get money for Jamie because it was his only income. Right. Pete's like, let's do a little bit and whatever. If I get some money, I don't care. So then they asked me to come down and do Tuesdays with them because they wanted to do a Feed More Western New York donation. Okay. They wanted to just continue to. And so Friday night was like for their pocket. And then Tuesday night was for Feed More Western New York. So that just ended up making so much music. Like we had too much fun. And we raised from that time period, that year, by December, $13,000. Wow. For Feed More Western New York. It's very cool. And that was very musical and we wrote some songs. Right. So then the songwriting thing started to happen again. Okay. So Pete and Jamie and I kind of split ways. And Grace asked Pete and I to sing with her band, Grosh. And she's like, you guys want to sing a song with us? Pete and I were like, sure. So we asked Grace, because Pete and I, we always say we're like karaoke. If we don't have a guitar player, right? You know what I mean? Because neither of us play an instrument. Sure. So then Grace said, sure, I'll do it. So it's kind of Garden Party 2.0. Okay. Which is Grace Logan, Peter Vincent, myself. And that's now turned into a lovely creative thing. Right. So last weekend we just did the Rush. Oh, what did the guys call it from 97 Rock? The Rush Off. Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Dwayne was telling me about that today. When it was great. Yeah. It was great. All these bands. There was a great band from Rochester. There was I can't remember all the names. I'm sorry. I don't want to say them wrong. I was kind of helping Tony, the sound man, the amazing sound man at Sportsman, manage the bands a little bit because that's what I do for the Last Waltz. I kind of weaseled my way into that show. There you go. I tell Doug all the time, yeah, I know I can't be Emmylou Harris, but I can move the microphones. Right. I can make sure, that, Neil Young's on stage on time. Right. Right. Yeah. So I kind of get to have fun with those guys. And there's a whole other beautiful group of musicians that I just hang out with. So I'm sorry, Greg, let me finish the story. So anyway, through that, working with the Mob Show, because Jesse and I had a relationship. I didn't really know Bobby, but they needed a backup singer. And I love singing backups. Right. I just think it's one of my favorite things to do, which I'd gotten a lot of practice with with the Rhythm and Blues Soul Review.
Okay.
Because it was a lot of singers, you know, and we had to learn these backups. It's a great thing to do in that outlier kind of thing, like learning harmonies. So for yourself,
right,
you just got to keep putting yourself in that situation. The more singers you sing with, know your strengths, know you know when not to sing. That's the hardest part.
Right.
That's Dolly Durante. That's Dolly D. That's her best advice ever. So anyway, so the garden party stuff had been roaming around, and Bobby had Grace and Megan open up for the Mob Show one year, and his old friend wanted to record some records. So Buffalo Bound is more of like a live presentation of these albums that Jeff Hahn had supported to have Bobby record. Okay. So Bobby's got musicians to make the records, and now Bobby's looking to make it live. So that's how the Buffalo Bound thing came up, which is a great mix. And then this Tony Trippy called me up, and he's doing some shows, his original music. So I said, we got to get Peter Vincent.
Right.
He's my brother from another mother.
Right.
So it just kind of doesn't, if you're smart, it doesn't stop. You just keep your eyes open. And I'm tired. It's a lot. I should be home, doing my laundry and working on these songs. Right. But what a great opportunity to talk with you. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Share some of these stories.
Well, and then I see you're going to be doing a show at the Kaz with Grace Stumberg, Grace Logan, and Megan. So it's kind of neat to see different generations. I mean, I know you're only 39.
No, but, I am. Right.
You know, but
no, I say that to Grace all the time, and to Grace, and to Megan. And Alex MacArthur, hopefully she'll be able to make the show. Right. That is just precious. Those ladies are not only talented, they're sweet, loving, great people. Yes. Great people. As you know, I'm so fortunate. I say it all the time. I'm blessed. From the bottom of my soul, all these musicians that I work with. It's a beautiful community, and I'm honored just to kind of hang out with these folks. Like Dwayne, right? Right. Yeah. And you know, and all of them. I can't even begin to. I mean, Dwayne is a little bit special because he's put his pocketbook in front of it, right? And his family. Yes. You know what I mean? And there's a lot to that. I mean, I try to buy a couple tickets every year to support them because they support me so much, right? But it's a big old family. If we can keep it that way.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Keep it simple. And Denise, of course, she runs the whole show. Yeah. And they know it.
Of course.
And she should.
Oh, yeah. All those boys know it. There's always a good woman behind everybody. Every good band's got a good woman behind them. So I'm going to kind of flip the script a little bit here because when we were at the Sportsman's just had their 40th anniversary and saw you there and we were chatting and you were talking about your yoga.
Oh, yeah.
And how yoga kind of really affects the
100%.
musicality. So I want to talk about that a little bit before we close out here.
Yeah. What would you like to know?
Well, what do you think first of all, how did you get involved in teaching yoga?
So it's just like that sitting in front of the speaker, right? I love to be outside. I probably have, you said ADHD? Exactly. Yeah. There's a lovely tool out there. It's called School Place 5. And it kind of takes your traits and it kind of puts you in these pockets. It's not negative. It's not positive. I mean, it's we hope it's positive. Right. But it's nothing really that's supposed to bring you down. It's supposed to show you when you take a kind of like a Briggs Myers. Okay. When I found yoga, which is actually a book, and I'm like, oh, that's it. I was very physical as a kid. Don't like to sit down often. Restless leg syndrome, whatever you want to call it. Right. Like to keep moving, right? So the yoga practice. So when it came to athletics, my mom, she was working. I really couldn't get to practices. It was very difficult. So that athletic thing and being a little shy, everyone thinks I'm not shy, but I kind of am. Right. I didn't compete very well, but yet very physical, right? Roller skating was probably my most favorite athletic thing to do ever. USA skates over the boulevard. Don't tell me you didn't go. Did you ever go? Did you ever roller skate?
Oh, I roller skate. I grew up in Fredonia, so
that's right. I keep thinking you're from Kenmore.
Yep, nope. But I did roller skate. That's what you did when we were kids, because we had the fairgrounds right next to, the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds. They had a roller rink there, so that's what you did. I mean, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, all that stuff.
Oh my God. So anyway,
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah.
So yoga, so always having this physical thing, but not really having the outlet. Okay. So it was more selfish at the beginning but then it got very philosophical. So in college, I also did a lot of philosophy, history, right? If you're a historian, you have to be philosophical because you have to take apart the pieces, right? And try to put them into some kind of alignment. So yoga is extremely scientific and it is very deep. You know what I mean? So if you're like a deep thinker, you can go deep.
Right.
So I was fortunate enough to just practice by myself. I really didn't. And Jim Linsner and I would do videos. I'll never forget. It was an Ally McGraw video. And then there was this guy, Brian Kest. And it was just VHSs. And I would just put them in. Right. I had a couple books and I would just do it. And then here's an aha moment with that one. Aha moment. I was driving down the road and there was this I said it was over by Southgate. I just moved into the South Towns. And I'm like, I really want to figure out how to continue to do this yoga stuff. Maybe I'm a yoga teacher. I don't know. And then I got a phone call when I got home. It was a friend's wife said, they're looking for someone to do a little bit of yoga in this gym that's going in Southgate.
Right. So
that's where you say you never say never.
Right.
Right. Like here you thought it. So did you bring it on? Was it law of attraction?
Right.
Right. Like were you bringing it to you? So it's very interesting when you just kind of surrender a little bit and have eyes open and ears open. So I went in there and I taught and it was very scary. Just like standing on stage for the first time. And they have over all of these years. So that's been since, I don't know, 95, let's say, 96. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that teaching experience is performance, right? You have to have your script. You've got to know what you're doing. But in yoga, it's a little different. I don't necessarily need to know what the rhythms are, but I should know the bones and the structure of the music. I should know AABA. I should know when the chord changes. I should know blues change, right? No, I'm not so good at that. But the anatomy part of the yoga thing was very interesting to me. So as years have gone by, I got trained. It took like 3-4 years back then. It wasn't it's very different than the way it is now.
Right.
Went to the Himalayan Institute. Ralph Sovic and his wife, Mary Gale, ran the Himalayan Institute at that time. And we were the very first class that helped him write his book with Sandra Anderson. So the Himalayan Institute is Swami Rama. He was the main guru or the main yogi of that group. Everything was kind of, what's the word I want to say? You followed a certain tradition of a yoga instructor, of a man. I don't want to say it that way, but BKS Iyengar went to California. Desikar was with this main teacher that taught all these guys. Swami Rama was in the Poconos. So you have all these major influences happening in the United States, probably 75, 80. And they started to develop these schools. But they were still pretty far in between. So maybe I remember there was one in Rhinebeck. There was Kripalu, which has been in Boston area forever. So you get these little pockets, thousands and thousands of dollars to go study. So luckily, Ralph taught at the Himalayan Institute because that was like his home base. He ran that studio. And we were a part of that, kind of developing his book. So it was a really beautiful time, once again, alignment, to be a part of a yoga education. So he was kind of not making it up, but he was crafting this book while he was teaching us, which was very neat. So we got a little extra instruction. So as time went by, I've just taught probably 4 or 5 times a week since then, which is crazy.
Right.
So it's too much fun. So I'll go as time goes on. I'm certified to teach, and a lovely friend of mine, well, she became a friend. She was a doctor. I was teaching in a studio in like East Aurora, and she called me up and she said, listen, I have 4 children. I'm a doctor. What are you going to teach me? And I said, well, let me think about that. I said, well, listen, if you don't like what I'm going to do, I didn't know how to verbalize it to her. You asked me, what do I sing? I don't know.
Right.
I really don't know what I'm doing here. But with the yoga thing, it's if you don't like it, then the money's yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a moment where I don't want to own a studio. Not confrontation, but that challenging me about what are you going to do for me? It was like, if you're paying attention, that's not what yoga is about.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I have a whole yoga philosophy that I share with you all the time.
Sure.
But anyway, so then we became friends. So she liked what we did. I taught in her house. I taught some of her friends.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lovely relationship. And then as a couple of years went by, she said, you should look into being a yoga therapist. So all that does is it sort of complemented, once again, the alignment, the cosmos. I was looking to get some kind of employment that didn't gave me yoga, but didn't require me to pay the light bill or have to put out marketing or to do anything other than instruct. So then I went to the YMCA. So I taught for 2 months to one person, and that was it.
Yeah.
Her name was Linda. And if it weren't for Linda, who knows what would have happened, right?
Right.
So anyway, as the yoga thing progressed, more people would come. And then Jen told me, my friend, that you should really look into this yoga therapy. And at the same time, which is ironic, I had been coordinating a cancer survivorship program at the Y. It's called Live Strong. It's across the country. It's 12 weeks free. Let's say someone in your family gets diagnosed. What the research shows is any kind of movement or exercise, social connection, because you get very isolated when you're going through treatments because your life is spent getting treatments.
Right.
And so the social aspect, so it's other people are involved. At the same time, this yoga therapy thing started to come around. So the alignment was crazy. Meaning I could take these simple practices, but have to think about what if this individual needs something special? They're different. You're different than me. So if I give you my yoga script, it's not going to do either of us any good. Right. Right. So kind of jumping forward to where my instruction goes now is really, I call it like a vocabulary of movement. Yoga has a fundamental. It has a way you want to practice, a very logical way. You include standing poses, some kind of inversion, some kind of supine positions, twists, all that stuff. It can be a 20-minute, it could be 2 hour, but my focus, like, and that's with the language that you said at the top. Could I have a copy of that, by the way? That was really damn good. Yeah. So it's really about observing yourself, understanding what your body needs, what your physical history is, what your emotional history is. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, how can you work with your body to make a yoga flow or a yoga practice, whatever it is you might want to lay on the ground the whole time, right? But it's this mindful awareness that happens. So you're in charge of your wellness. Right. You know what I mean? Can I breathe? Can I not breathe? Does my shoulder hurt? Does my ear hurt? What's up with my big toe? It's this mindfulness that generally leads to wellness, right? You can skin the cat any way you want. You can do allopathy, you can do iridology, you can do homeopathy, whatever it is. You can, go vegan, you can go all meat, whatever. It's your body's telling you kind of what it needs sometimes. Right. So, yeah. So the yoga thing has been very, very collaborative with music because it gives you what's the word I want to say? It gives you that decompression thing. It gives you this, like, it's just a moment. Yeah. It's all you can do.
I've done a little yoga, and it's like, find your mountain.
Right. Like, you really can't control what's going to happen in 5 minutes. Yeah. But if you can focus at the moment, so this next phrase, this next breath, this next, open your eyes and see what the drummer's doing, or whatever. Yeah. So it's that presence, I think. So to be musical, you have to be present. You've got to know what's happening, right? You've got to be tuned in and see your people. Yeah. I don't like to be in front of the group. I like to be I like to see what's happening. Sure. But that's really been a blessing. I don't think about it as a job. Neither of my, I tell my kids, I'm a yoga instructor and I'm a rock star. So just wait. Sorry, there's mom.
I was going to say, that's right, your mom. It's like, can I have my allowance, Mom?
Yeah, right, exactly. I'm like, well, hold on. I got to go do a gig later. I'll give it to you when I get home.
That's right. So, well, Sue, this has been fabulous.
Oh,
We've gone
thank
over
you,
the
Greg.
hour, believe it or not.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I bet we have. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no. No apologies needed. It's
good.
It goes so fast. Everyone says, boy, it goes so fast.
Yeah.
When we're just chatting and
Absolutely.
and having a good time. I can't
Absolutely.
thank enough. This has been fabulous.
Oh, my pleasure. You have to come find me sometime. So the Rose Garden, behind the Rose Garden, Sunday mornings. It's a tough time for folks if they go to church.
Mm-hmm.
But or if ever you want to have a little party, we'll do yoga sizing somewhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm a gun for hire all the time.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I know. My wife and I, we did yoga for a little while over at the North Buffalo YMCA.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
It's tough. All those tough guys are like, you're playing yoga. I says, you try it, man.
Oh, yeah.
I was sore. And it didn't seem like I was moving much, but it's like, but I did, I found my mountain. It's like, wow. It's like, it's like.
If people have a hard time with anxiety or stress, it's not even the movement so much, Greg.
Right.
It's just knowing how to breathe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that's even the bigger part of yoga with music.
Yeah.
For me.
Oh, breath.
Is, because your heart is connected to your diaphragm. Mm-hmm. And when your diaphragm's going up and down and you're anxious, your heart increases.
Right.
So your heart rate shoots up.
Sure.
But, yeah.
So,
all right.
Okay.
Well, maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Maybe we will. I'm sure there's a lot more stories there. So, but thanks again. I can't.
Oh, my pleasure.
Can't thank enough. Greatly appreciate it. And for everyone who's tuned in, I hope you've had just as much fun as we have. And as always, you can find the podcast where you get your podcasts at Spotify, Amazon Audible, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, thebuffalohive.com, and of course you can always find the podcast at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music, and I'll hopefully have some videos and maybe some pictures. And I know you said you're averted to pictures, so maybe
we'll
see what we
there's a
can
couple
get up there.
Good ones up there.
Okay, there's a couple good ones. Good.
I know.
And we'll get some good pictures up there, have links to where you're playing, and so people can keep up to date and go out and see you perform. So again, Sue, thanks so much. And for everyone who's tuned in, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. In the Flamingo Lounge is made possible in part by CatsLikeUs.com, your online store for authentic vintage clothing and accessories. Buffalo Ironworks, an intimate live music venue and bar located in the Cobblestone District in downtown Buffalo. And by Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, Western New York's premier golf course, restaurant, and banquet facility. At the Hawk, the bar is hopping year-round with live music every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and some other nights, too. Tune in for a new episode every Saturday at 9 a.m. EST at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. Bark, Zoe, bark. Good girl.